U.S. Supreme Court justices heard oral arguments today in the water dispute between Oklahoma and Texas. A Texas state agency that supplies water to many North Texas communities, including Fort Worth, says Oklahoma is violating a 1980 water agreement among 4 states by not allowing Texas to take water from the Kiamichi River in Oklahoma. But Oklahoma and the other states, Arkansas and Louisiana, say the Red River Compact was never meant to allow states to cross each other's borders to take water. The Supreme Court is expected to decide the case sometime before its term ends in June. And here to provide answers sometime before June is Chris Castillo from the Oklahoman's Washington Bureau. Chris, how are you, sir?
I'm good, Dave. Thanks.
Hey, could you tell from the justices' questions today what they might be thinking about the case?
It's always difficult, as the cliche goes. I think ultimately, they were worn out by it. They were confused by just all the vagaries of water law and this compact. In particular, they were getting some of the regions of the Red River Basin confused in some of their questions. They were looking at maps and asking all kinds of questions about this part of the Red River, which isn't even really part of the case. And so it was kind of difficult to tell because I really think they were just trying to figure it out. There were some questions early on that that made me think they were probably leaning Oklahoma's way, but by the end of it, like I said, I think they were just kind of worn out on it. And it'll be interesting to see, how they resolve this.
So, Chris, why is there a dispute about this? Is the Red River Compact unclear as to whether Texas can take water from Oklahoma?
Well, both Oklahoma and Texas say it's very clear, but if it were very clear, some of the justices said today, there would not be a case. There's a provision that it divides up the Red River into various sections, and and one provision divides up this excess water from the Kiamichi River in Oklahoma. And it doesn't say, it gives all 4 states in the compact equal rights to this water, but doesn't say, how they can get it. It doesn't say whether or not they can cross the border to get it, or whether Texas can come into Oklahoma to get its 25% share if it can't get that share in Texas. And so that's what that's at the core of this dispute is what does this compact mean? Texas says, we can come in. It doesn't say we can't, so we can come into Oklahoma, and you've got to give us a permit to get that water. But as you said, Oklahoma, Louisiana, and Arkansas, the other 3 members of the compact, say that was never envisioned, that any time you allow for a state to go into another state to get water, that is absolutely specific in a water agreement. It says you can go across the border to get it. Here's how you would do it. It has all the mechanics to it, and that's absent here. So that's the confusion here.
We mentioned the Supreme Court is expected to decide this case before its term ends in June. Mm-hmm. Are there a lot of possible outcomes?
There are definitely a few. The 10th Circuit Court, the appeals court just below the U.S. Supreme Court, upheld Oklahoma's position in this. And the Tarrant Water District, the Texas agency that you mentioned, they appealed it to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court could just confirm what the 10th Circuit said, that Oklahoma's right. You don't have a right to come in and get our water, and that's that. Or they could decide Texas's way and say the compact doesn't say that Texas can't come in, so they can go into Oklahoma and get the water. There's a bit of a middle ground here, and that the Obama administration, the Justice Department, has intervened in this case. They are part of this case as well, and they are mostly arguing on the Texas district side. They basically say because the compact is silent on that, it does mean that Texas can go into Oklahoma, but they think that this case, if the court were to decide that way for Texas, it would have to go back and go through all kinds of different hearings and legal procedures before Texas could actually start getting the water. And one of the questions is, well, what if Texas can get 19, 20, 25% or whatever the water in Texas? Do they just have to get their 25% from Texas? Texas actually argues, no, we don't. Even if we could get 25% of this water from Texas, we can go into Oklahoma and get it. And but the Justice Department disagrees with that. So that might be an issue that has to be resolved. All kinds of issues about, how Texas could come in and use eminent domain to put a pipeline in. All kinds of stuff might have to be ultimately decided. Even if Texas wins, this case could be tied up for years.
Interesting, and I'm just hoping I don't have to say Red River water dispute on camera.
Red River
too.
Compact.
I can't say that 4 times fast or slow for that matter. Hey, Chris Castillo, thanks so much for joining us today.
You bet, Dave.
You can follow his coverage every day in the Oklahoman and, of course, online at newsok.com.